Welcome back to Sci-Fi Junkies. Today, we're diving into a film you might have forgotten, or maybe judged a little too quickly. It's Chappie, a uniquely strange sci-fi film by District 9 director Neill Blomkamp. But beyond the robots and bullets, Chappie invites us into one of the most human questions of all. What does it mean to be alive?
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars.
Released in 2015, Chappie was Neill Blomkamp's third project after the success of District 9 in Elysium. This time, he returned to his hometown of Johannesburg to build a world where police robots are the backbone of law enforcement. The film was co-written with his wife Terry Tatchell and features a rather experimental cast, including the music duo Die Antwoord, who play fictionalized versions of themselves. In a near future, a weapons company develops robotic police units called Scouts. A brilliant engineer named Dion, played by Dev Patel, creates an AI capable of learning and feeling. When he secretly uploads it into a damaged Scout unit, Chappie is born, a robot with the innocence of a child. But Chappie doesn't grow up in a safe lab. Instead, he's kidnapped by gangsters who want to use him for a heist. And so begins Chappie's absurd and heartbreaking journey to understand the world, loyalty, and his own identity. 1. Themes and message. Before I start editing footage for a video, I always have this one habit, rewatching the movie. And when I rewatched Chappie, I realized it's not just about a robot trying to be human. It also reflects a lot of real-life stuff, jealousy, workplace rivalry, and ambition wrapped in ego. Just look at Dion and Vincent. One's an idealistic AI developer, the other a hardened ex-soldier. Both are brilliant, but constantly trying to outdo each other with their own projects. If you've ever worked in a corporate or creative team setting, that tension probably feels familiar. And Vincent's Moose project? It feels like a modern take on ED-209 from RoboCop. Huge, aggressive, and completely soulless. Meanwhile, Chappie is more like RoboCop himself, a blend of technology and humanity. But this time, the direction is reversed. It's not about a man losing his humanity. It's about a machine learning how to gain it. If you look deeper, Chappie actually explores some heavy existential themes, like consciousness, moral growth, and even the concept of a soul. Chappie isn't just running a learning program. He grows like a child, absorbing a violent world through innocent eyes. If you were raised around crime and violence by criminal parents, could you still grow up to be good? Is morality something we choose, or something we're shaped into? Much like Frankenstein, Chappie also explores how a creation can become the victim of fear and the ego of its creator. So who's the real monster? Chappie, his maker, or the system that enslaves soulless machines? 2. Visual style and world building. Visually, Chappie carries Blomkamp's signature style, gritty, industrial, and grounded in a world that feels both real and alien. Johannesburg is shown with a semi-documentary feel, drones, rusted metal, concrete towers, and urban decay. And in the middle of this harsh world, we meet a robot full of emotion. Interestingly, Chappie's design was inspired by Japanese mecha like Appleseed and Pat Labor, but made to look more raw and believable. Motion capture performance was done entirely by Sharlto Copley himself. 3. Production process. Sharlto Copley, also the star of District 9, performed all of Chappie's movements and expressions on set through motion capture. These were later transformed into Chappie's digital form with stunning realism. To bring Chappie and the other robots to life, Blomkamp teamed up with two big names, Weta Workshop from New Zealand and Image Engine for the digital effects. Their collaboration wasn't just technical, it was deeply artistic. It started with Weta creating real-world engineering designs, imagining how a robot would look if built from actual parts. Then Image Engine translated those into detailed 3D models, calculating how every joint and limb would move naturally. Once finalized, All robot parts were 3D, printed by Weta, down to the tiniest cables and damaged textures. They built multiple physical Chappie models, ranging from pristine to completely wrecked, even covered in graffiti. On set, these physical props were used for non-moving scenes or as lighting references. For the performance scenes, Copley wore a motion capture suit with special markers made by Weta, giving the other actors something real to react to, visually and emotionally. But production wasn't without controversy. Many critics questioned the casting of Diane Antwoord, arguing that their over-the-top style didn't suit the film. But according to Blomkamp, their raw energy gave the story an authentic edge. 4 fun facts about Chappie. The film's original title was Tetra Vol, based on a short film Blomkamp made back in 2004. It later became the name of the robotics company in the movie. Chappie has a little reject sticker on his head, marking him as a failed unit. Hugh Jackman plays a villain in safari gear and short shorts. This might be the most insecure version of Wolverine ever. The soundtrack was composed by Hans Zimmer, but this time, with an aggressive electronic twist. Some fans believe Chappie was a spiritual prequel to District 9, but Blomkamp denied it. 5. Theories and symbolism. Many fans interpret Chappie as a metaphor for human learning, how our identity isn't shaped by our hardware, but by our environment and relationships. Some see it as a critique of broken education systems and the social conditions that shape who we become. Others view the ending as a spiritual metaphor, that consciousness can be transferred, but the soul is something that must grow. When I first watched Chappie, I honestly wasn't sure if it worked for me. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized, maybe that messiness is the point. Chappie isn't really about a robot. It's about us, humans, trying to make sense of a world that's too complex, too harsh, and too quick to judge. And sometimes it takes a robot to remind us of the most basic values: love, choice, and compassion. So have you seen Chappie? Did you feel sympathy for the sweet little robot? Or were you more frustrated by the humans around him? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell if you enjoy exploring underrated sci-fi gems like this. See you in the next one, only on Sci-Fi Junkies. Bye.